At first glance, Greenland looks like one of the most remote places on Earth. It is vast, cold, and sparsely populated, covered mostly in ice and snow. For many people, it feels disconnected from everyday life and far removed from global power politics. But in reality, Greenland sits at the very center of some of the most important military and security calculations in the modern world. And the United States military base located there matters not only to America, but very directly to Europe as well. To understand why, we have to start with geography. Geography is one of the few things in global politics that never changes. Governments rise and fall, alliances shift, leaders come and go, but physical location stays the same. Greenland is positioned between North America and Europe, near the top of the world. If you draw the shortest possible line between major cities in the United States and major cities in Europe, that line passes close to Greenland. In military planning, these shortest paths are critical. Aircraft routes, missile trajectories, radar coverage, and satellite tracking all depend on distance and angles, not political borders. Because of this location, Greenland has long been seen as a natural lookout point over the Arctic. During the Cold War, this reality became impossible to ignore. The fastest route for nuclear missiles launched from the Soviet Union toward the United States went over the Arctic, not across oceans or continents. Greenland was one of the first places where such a launch could be detected. That is why the United States built a major military installation there, originally known as Thule Air Base, now called Pituffik Space Base. The original purpose of the base was early warning. Radar systems in Greenland were designed to detect incoming missiles as early as possible, giving decision-makers valuable time to react. In the world of nuclear deterrence, even a few extra minutes can be the difference between chaos and survival. That mission never disappeared. Instead, it evolved as technology and global threats changed. Today, the U.S. military base in Greenland is less about large numbers of troops and more about sensors, data, and information. It supports missile warning systems, space surveillance, satellite tracking, and Arctic operations. In modern defense, information arrives before weapons. The side that sees first has the advantage. Greenland plays a quiet but crucial role in making sure that early warning systems work as intended. This is where Europe enters the picture. Many people assume that U.S. military bases exist only to protect American territory. In reality, the base in Greenland is deeply tied to European security as well. Most European countries rely on NATO for their defense, and NATO relies heavily on American early warning and detection systems. If a missile were launched toward Europe from the Arctic direction, radar systems in Greenland would likely be among the first to detect it. That information would then be shared across NATO networks, giving European governments precious time to assess the situation and respond. In modern warfare, time is everything. Missiles move faster than ever before. Decision windows are smaller. Early warning is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Without Greenland, Europe's early warning coverage from the Arctic would be weaker, slower, and more uncertain. This is one of the reasons why the base matters so much beyond U.S. borders. Another factor that makes Greenland increasingly important is the changing Arctic environment. For much of modern history, the Arctic acted as a natural buffer. Ice, extreme cold, and harsh conditions limited human activity and military movement. That is no longer the case. Climate change is transforming the Arctic faster than almost any other region on Earth. Sea ice is shrinking, shipping routes are opening, and access is becoming easier. As a result, global competition in the Arctic is increasing. Russia has expanded its military presence across the Arctic, reopening old bases and building new infrastructure. China has declared itself a near-Arctic state and increased its economic, scientific, and strategic interest in the region. What was once a frozen frontier is becoming a corridor for trade, military movement, and geopolitical competition. Greenland sits right along this corridor, making its strategic value even greater. There is also a simple geometric reality that shapes military planning. The shortest path for long-range missiles between major powers runs over the North Pole. This applies not only to missiles aimed at the United States, but also to missiles aimed at Europe. Greenland is perfectly positioned beneath these potential trajectories. Radar systems there help monitor what happens along those paths, providing early warning that protects both American and European cities. Greenland's political status adds another important layer to this story. Greenland is not an American territory. It is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Denmark is a member of NATO. That means Greenland's security is directly tied into NATO's collective defense framework. The U.S. military presence exists with Danish approval and operates within agreed arrangements. Information gathered at the base is shared across NATO systems, making Greenland an integral part of Europe's security architecture. This is collective defense in practice. Even though Greenland feels distant from Paris, Berlin, or Rome, the data collected there flows directly into the systems that protect those cities. It is a reminder that modern defense is global, interconnected, and often invisible to the public. Space also plays a major role in why the Greenland base matters. Modern societies depend heavily on satellites for navigation, communication, weather forecasting, surveillance, and military operations. If satellites are disrupted or destroyed, the effects are immediate and widespread. Air travel, emergency services, financial systems, and military coordination all depend on space-based infrastructure. The U.S. base in Greenland tracks objects in space, including satellites and potentially dangerous debris. This helps protect critical space assets that Europe relies on just as much as the United States does. In this sense, Greenland is not only guarding airspace and missile paths, but also the space systems that modern life depends on. Every few years, Greenland suddenly appears in global headlines. Often this happens because of controversial statements, political debates, or surprising proposals. But the underlying reason Greenland keeps returning to the conversation is not political drama. It is strategic necessity. Geography does not change, and as long as the Arctic remains a key route for missiles, aircraft, and satellites, Greenland will remain important. Looking to the future, Greenland's role is likely to grow rather than shrink. Arctic shipping routes will become more viable. Military competition in the region will intensify. Early warning systems and space surveillance will become even more critical as technology advances and threats evolve. This will require closer coordination between the United States and Europe and continued investment in Arctic defense infrastructure. Greenland will never feel central to everyday life for most people. It will remain sparsely populated and physically remote. But strategically, it is one of the most important locations on Earth. Its value lies not in what happens there on a daily basis, but in what it allows others to see, detect, and respond to in time. So when we ask why the U.S. military base in Greenland matters to Europe, the answer is not simple, but it is clear. It matters because it provides early warning. It matters because it protects shared airspace. It matters because it supports NATO's collective defense. It matters because it helps safeguard the space systems that modern societies depend on. And it matters because, in a world where threats move faster than ever, the quiet places are often the ones that make the biggest difference. Greenland may look empty on a map, but in the world of global security, it sits right at the center.